Hi everyone, Lynn Dwyer here. I'm going to have a little bit of a play around today with some of the Fiskars border punches and thought I'd share some of my tips and tricks with you. First thing I like to do when I get a border punch is to slap a bit of white paint here on these markings. All the Fiskars border punches have them. Here's one of the newer ones which I'm yet to put paint on, so I can show you the difference. It's a bit hard to see, but these markings are on the front of the punch. But once you slap a bit of paint, like I have on the threading water one, much easier to see. Okay. Another little tip, people often ask me, how do you get a perfect corner using the border punches? Okay, I'll show you using this one only because it's here. Line it up, line this right hand side corner up with the right hand marking on the front of your punch. Where I've got that little bit of white paint, there's also a marking down here on the grid. Press and then take it out and now pop it up the other end on the left hand side where that marking is up there, if you can see that. Slide it back under, push it to the back, and I've lined it up with this white marking here. There's also a marking down here on the plate, and press again. Okay, and pull it out, and there you have your perfect corner. Can you see that? Okay. Another thing I like to do is to just play around with the punches when I get them. For instance, this boundary waters one, when I first got it I thought, oh okay, it looks a bit like waves, what can I do with it? So I had a bit of a play around and I came up with this sort of thing. Okay, this one at the top's actually threading water, can you see that one, where I've just punched right across here. Then this is just using the punch once. I started off, I had a 1-inch strip and then I just punched along the top. The second one here, this one here, I what we call double punched. I went along and did one side and then, so for instance I would have gone like this, punched right along one side, then I flipped it over, turned it around and popped it back in the punch, and then I'd punch the other side. So that's where you get this double effect. I love doing this with the punches. I play around with them all the time. Let's have a look what I've got on the other side. Okay, this one here is upper crest, one of the newer punches. Here it is here. As you can see, I haven't put white paint on here yet. It's a bit harder to see. And I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do with that one, but once again I had a play and I came up with this sort of thing. If I get another piece of black card, I'll just sort of hide that for a minute. So that's what I came up with. I started with the 1-inch strip, okay, then I punched along here and that's the sort of border I got. Then I kept playing and I thought, okay, what happens if I put it back in again and do along the other side? So I did one row, which is here, and then I popped it back in and did the other side as well and came up with that. And then I thought, okay, what happens if you move the punch slightly along to the left so that these little bits are over here? And that's the sort of effect you get. Okay, so it's the same punch, but different ways of placing it, and whether you just want to go along one edge or whether you want to do two edges. Okay, I have some other ones here, which I'll share with you. This one here, this is one of the newer punches, which is called Effervescence. Okay, as you can see, this one's actually a borrowed one, so it's not mine. I haven't put the markings on here. It's a little bit similar to threading water, but it's got the two holes that punch out. Okay. And what I've done here is, once again, I should hide that so that I don't confuse you all too soon. Okay, and that's what it looks like if you just punch along one edge. Okay, 1-inch strip. This is what it looks like if you go along two edges. Rather nice, and rather a nice lacy edge. Then I kept playing and I thought, I think if I did it a little bit closer, so if I cut my strip at about 3/4 of an inch, I should get an effect like this where the little dots line up, so you don't get two rows of them, you just end up with one row. And then I played a little bit further and realised that if I just cut across there like that, see what I've done with the trimmer? That's what I've done with this top one. That's all that is. It's just this one here, for instance, punched out, and then I've cut along there. So it's the exact same punch used 4 different ways. This one here is the flowers punch. Let's see if I can find it. That's this one here. There we go. That's what it looks like. And I've just punched along 2 sides and then just 1 punch in the middle. This is rather a nice one for making your own invitations. I think it's rather cute. Okay, pop that one aside. Something else with the flowers one here. Get my piece of card again. This punch here is the one we're looking at, flowers. Okay, once again I cut a 1-inch strip and then I just punched along one edge. Then I decided, okay, what happens if I go back along the other side? I can line it up so that the little flowers are above one another. And look at this gorgeous effect. Just beautiful. Would make lovely ribbon. Can you imagine that around, wrapping around an invitation to hold it closed? Or even on a card. Really pretty. Okay, this one here is one of our embossing punches. Let's see if I can find it. This one here, Scallop Daisy. So it actually punches and embosses at the same time. And that's what happens if you start off with a 1-inch strip. Okay, you end up with this. Can you see the, I'll move that out of the way. Can you see the embossing there? I'm not sure whether you can see it in there. And then the same thing, I went along 2 edges and got a total different look. Once again, you can see the embossing and the shapes are punched out as well. Quite a cute punch. Okay, we've seen that one. Here's another embossing border punch, which is rather cute. It's called icing on the cake. There it is. So once again, it punches. They do have the same markings. I haven't put paint on this one, but they all have these markings here, so I need to slap a bit of paint on there to make it easy to see. Okay, and this is the sort of effect you get if you punch one shape. You can you see the embossing here? So it's punched it out and then it embosses as well. You could have had it up this way for that sort of effect. Can you see that? Or if you tip it this way, you have a slightly different effect. And then go along 2 edges, and how gorgeous is this? I love doing this and making strips of ribbon, making my own ribbon out of offcuts of paper. I always like the white on black because I think it looks really striking, but lots of other colours also look really nice when you're using the border punches. Okay, here's another one. I forgot that one was on the back actually. That's another embossing border punch. Let's see if I can find it. Here it is. All the fleur. So once again it punches and embosses. So I take this away for a minute. There it is. Okay, that's what it looks like in case you're wanting to get one. And then that's the sort of effect it does with a 1-inch strip again. Let's see if I can find one. That sort of effect you'll come up with. So I started off with a 1-inch strip and then just punched along one border. Then when I did 2 borders, totally changes the look of it. Isn't that gorgeous? And then I decided to do it on pattern paper, and how cute's that? Once again, a total different effect. So play around with your punches. You know, whether you use plain paper, pattern paper, different lightweight card is perfect. The new punches do actually punch through basil. They seem to be stronger. Okay, what else have we got here? This one here is where I've done what we call double punched. I've used 2 punches. Once again, I love playing around. I love playing around with my new tools, and I think